know, some people might consider this insect-based torture, but I call it training for the future. Ladies, gentlemen, and miniatures of all ages, welcome to Grounded 2. The world can be harsh, and if you want to take it over and reign over the entirety of Brook Hollow Park with unparalleled strength, today we're going to help you get on the right track from moment number 1. A quick disclaimer that this will be as spoiler-free as possible for what it is. Everything will be shown on either my super early game save or a creative mode save to ensure this, but on my main save, I have played quite a lot with Josh here on the channel. The series will be going up soon, but just to say that the footage will be spoiler-free, but the knowledge behind it comes from someone with lots of first-hand experience. First things first then, if you are not confident with your perfect blocks or dodges, I highly recommend going into the fighter armor style. The earliest of these that you can craft is acorn armor, and what this does is increase your threat generation from bugs, meaning that they will attack you more often if you're hitting them, and more often than any other allies if they don't have this. But in return for that, fighter armor always comes with a big, useful defensive perk. Like on acorn armor, you get increased maximum HP, and when you have the full set on, the amount is actually really nothing to scoff at. It is 10 bonus maximum health for each piece, and you have 100 maximum health by default, so basically an extra 10% health per acorn piece that you put on. In a similar vein to this, if you plan on using a one-handed weapon, I highly recommend crafting yourself a shield to use in the offhand. And there is actually a really strong shield that you can make surprisingly early, which is the Lady Guard. This is actually a tier 2 shield, and it is the earliest shield you can make with the heavy shield perk, which makes you ignore all damage from attacks while blocking, even on non-perfect blocks. This means the only thing that you need to be super tanky with this item is stamina. As long as you don't let your stamina bar run out, you should never take damage from 95% of attacks in the game with this shield, with the exception of course being large area of effect attacks or ground damage or anything that just does so much damage that it would eat your entire stamina bar from one block anyways. Point being, if you want to be safe, make yourself a shield. If you want to be really safe, murder a ladybug at your earliest convenience and make yourself the ladybug shield. And there are plenty of ladybugs around the starting area, and this only requires ladybug parts, a couple of crude ropes, and some sap to craft, so it's really simple as long as you can kill a ladybug in the first place. Once you have any level of starting armor, you can survive a couple of hits from a ladybug, and I recommend making the Warhammerlet weapon you can craft super early, as ladybugs are weak to blunt damage and take a real wallop from this thing. To lean into this further, there is also the Ladybug armor set as well, and the main perk of this armor set is that it decreases the amount of stamina that you drain while blocking. So with this and the Ladybug shield, you can become unbelievably hard to deal any real damage to, outside of very specific attacks that you do need to dodge positionally. This requires Ladybug parts and blueberry leather, and you can get the blueberry chunks required to make the leather once you've gone to the picnic table, which you can either choose to explore early, or eventually you just will be sent in that direction in the story as well. As for the offensive side of equipment, the strongest way to deal damage that we found, at least before you have fully leveled mutations, were the candy staves. These aren't something that you can get instantly right out of the gate. They do require tier 2 stuff, including tier 2 busting just to be able to unlock them in the first place, but you should strive to make these as early as you can, especially as they just feel way better to use than they did in the first game. They seem to have a soft bit of lock-on the attacks, and the main thing with these is that they apply heavy amounts of either spicy or fresh damage depending on which one you make, and the associated status buildup with those two. The charged attack is super high damage and status buildup, but much shorter range than the standard attacks. This means you can reliably apply the statuses that things are weak to, and do lots of extra damage to them as a result. As you peep enemies in the game, you will find that the majority of them are weak to either spicy or fresh. Not all of them, some of them are weak to other stuff and are just not weak to any element specifically, but most of them will be weak to one of those two things. And so if you can make both the spicy candy staff and the fresh candy staff, you'll find that you can mow down all of those things extremely quickly. So while this may not be something that you can strive for right at the beginning, right out of the gate, I do want you to consider going out of your way for the required resources when you can and trying these out for yourself. Outside of this, for a more general thing to say about armor is that there are actual set bonuses on the armor in Grounded 2, meaning if you are wearing every piece of armor from the same set, like Ladybug set or Orbweaver set, anything like that, you will get an extra perk or two activated that is not listed on the individual armor pieces. For the Ladybug set, this is Scarlet Embrace. This gives you health restored on blocks, which is sort of crazy when you consider the rest of what the Ladybug set is. It's meant to make you able to just infinitely block while taking no damage. For the Orb Weaver set, this is a double-barreled bonus. Critical Momentum makes successive attacks increase your crit chance, and Web Crawler makes you able to move a bit faster on web surfaces and prevents you from getting stuck in the just general environmental webs too. I'm not going to go through every single one of the set bonuses here, but this is mostly just to say that I recommend using full armor sets as much as you can rather than mixing them and matching them, as that's how you will get the most out of what you're wearing, and these have some genuinely powerful effects if you activate them. Next up, we've got both recommendations for mutations and some easy ways to achieve them. The Stamina Management Mutation is one of the nicest quality of life upgrades for movement when you're not on your buggy, but also can play a vital role in combat by giving you more stamina to work with and less penalty on your stamina when you run it out completely. If you are planning on blocking attacks especially, this one can be a big game changer, but if you're planning on dodging, it also helps a lot too, because dodging takes a lot of stamina. The unlock condition for this mutation is to run out of stamina 100 times, then 250 times for level 2, and 500 times for level 3. And that is an absolutely absurd amount. But while it takes ages to run out of stamina while just running on foot, once you have a buggy, you will notice that its stamina bar is much smaller, and depleting this bar actually does count for the Cardio Fan Mutations unlock conditions. So the fast but convenient way of unlocking this is to just run around on your buggy, which you will do a lot of anyways, but this is to say just make sure that you purposefully do fully deplete your stamina bar so you can get this mutation unlocked sooner rather than later. If you want to purposefully grind for this mutation specifically though, you can let your food bar deplete until you are locked to half a full bar of stamina, and then just spam the dodge button to empty the stamina as quickly as possible. This will farm the mutation up very quickly, but it can't be done passively like the previous option can while you're just wandering around the map. As for the fighting style mutations, we went over what each of these do in a previous video, but the important thing to know is that these require creature kills, meaning the last hit on an enemy has to be with the weapon type you want to progress, and something like an Orb Weaver is worth the same amount of progress as just killing an aphid with the weapon. So if you want to farm up your fighting style mutations, go around murdering the little guys, the tiny guys, don't bother using them on big guys for that purpose. There's also the Reliable Friend mutation, which while decent while playing solo because it lets you revive your buggy quicker and that can help quite a bit, I would say that this one is absolutely essential if you're playing multiplayer, in my opinion. Even the level 1 upgrade of this mutation increases revive speed pretty dramatically and makes it way easier to save your friends mid-combat, which is one of the biggest ways that you can improve your success in difficult encounters when playing with others. So obviously in multiplayer it's pretty easy to grind this one up because you can just have your friend go down and revive them repeatedly as the unlock condition is revives, but if you're playing in single player you can actually grind this quite easily too by using ladybugs and your buggy. When you're riding your buggy, if you attack a ladybug, they will be really mad at your buggy, but once they've killed your buggy, they won't be mad at you because the only thing that hit them is the buggy. They won't attack you unless you attack them on foot. So all you need to do is revive your buggy, get back on, get the ladybug to kill you, and then repeat this over and over. You will die sometimes because when your buggy goes down, you do take damage from that specific hit, which means this will add up after a few revives, but this means that you can revive multiple times without ever putting yourself in more danger, and if you do this near a respawn point, then it's extremely easily farmed. Then finally, this isn't a universally important mutation, but these two here are unknown at the start of your game, but they come from eating candy shards. Eating 1 mint shard will unlock the first tier of fresh defense, which gives you a reduction in sizzle buildup and a reduction in sizzle damage, essentially just making it way easier to exist in hot areas. Then also gas resistance for less damage from gas areas too. So this is a relatively important upgrade for certain biomes in the game, and there's also spicy safety. You get this from eating spicy candy shards, and this gives you a chill buildup reduction, as well as a reduced damage when a freeze actually applies, and then it reduces damage taken if you get hit while you are frozen too. And so, very simply, if you want to exist in the cold and hot biomes of the game without struggling quite as much, these are the mutations that you want to focus on picking up. On a similar wavelength, we should also talk about your milk molars. Quick shout out, or maybe even reminder, that once you have a buggy and the level 2 hammer unlocked from the Omni tool, you should go back into the Might Hill that wraps into the first ranger station. There is an ant crunchable wall within here that is hiding a golden molar, which is an easy pickup here early, and as for actually spending your molars, for the basic ones it's relatively simple. You've got maximum health upgrade, maximum stamina upgrade, hunger and thirst drain reduction, healing received increased, and then maximum mutations active. The most singular valuable one is maximum mutations. The game knows that, and that's why it costs so much, but that also comes with the caveat that having more maximum active mutations only really matters once you have multiple decent mutations unlocked. So it doesn't need to be your first choice of upgrade, but I'd say it should be one of your first, and it will be your main priority to upgrade this one later on in the game when you have lots of higher tier mutations unlocked. For now though, the first upgrade of maximum health is a pretty big upgrade that's pretty cheap, so you want to take it. Same goes for maximum stamina. The first upgrade is big and the cost is tiny. Then we have healing received, and similar concept to begin with, but unlike maximum health and maximum stamina where they start to feel less valuable to me after the first one, healing received has a ton of value even at higher ranks, and the main reason is that it affects things even like the base bandage healing item, and having a couple ranks of this effect can make the base bandages feel way more powerful than they otherwise would, which is a great way to increase your general survivability. Then hunger and thirst drain is entirely just quality of life. You can easily play the whole game with 0 upgrades in this one, and you will be fine if you want to prioritize the things that will help you in combat properly, but if you prefer to make general survival easier, you can definitely sink some molars into this one. It's entirely a personal choice. So my personal general priority list here is to get the first rank of everything except for mutations, with the hunger and thirst drain reduction being optional, then get the first rank of max active mutations, then sort of alternate between healing received and mutations, depending on if you've unlocked mutations that you want to use and are out of slots. As for your mega milk molars, that's much more up to personal preference and playstyle. Aside from that, there's also just some general base building tips. As well, a lot of the game is about the exploration and combat. The base building is an important side of it too. Even if you don't care about having something that is aesthetically pleasing, you will at least want something that is very functional, a base from which you can easily craft and manage your resources, and one that is relatively safe. And while we will have a more dedicated base building and location guide coming up very soon on the channel, for now, we'll just have some general things that are useful when choosing your base location and how to put it together. You want to put it near a point of interest with lots of resources. The first obvious place is right beside the initial ranger station. There is a leaky pipe right above the station that gives you guaranteed water droplets every day. There's tons of low tier bugs in the area that you can farm for food, and there's lots of low tier resources that are great in the early game section too. Past that, once you're out of this area, verticality is pretty much always a good thing. The higher up your base is, the more you can see, the more difficulty enemies will have trying to attack you in your base, and I've had full defense events just completely won because the enemies could not reach my base to begin with because of where I put it. Then finally, just a couple of funky tips that are useful in general for some more difficult encounters. If your buggy ever goes down and needs to be revived, but there is no opportunity to do it safely, you can just run away and then whistle. When you whistle, your downed buggy will teleport next to you, and then you can revive them in the new position. This also works if you die while your buggy is downed and you respawn and your buggy is still downed. You can just call them over to the respawn point and pick them up. This, in general, is a tip that will mostly apply to later game stuff, but when you die, the things that you drop in your backpack are pretty much just crafting resources and raw ingredients. Your buggy will keep its full inventory even if you as the player dies. So this means if you know you're going to die, or if you want to die for the purposes of faster travel, you can dump everything perishable or everything important into your buggy's inventory, then just die safely. Alternatively, you can use the same sort of function but backwards. Because you only drop resources and raw ingredients, this means you keep all of your actual equipment, you keep things like smoothies that you craft, or cooked meals as well. So if you are doing a difficult boss fight, you can set your respawn point right beside the boss, then die and respawn back at the snack shack or your closest ranger station, go to your base, gather whatever equipment or meals, repair your stuff as much as you need, and get ready to actually do the fight. Then, once you have everything you want, just die and you'll respawn at that set point you left beside the boss with all of your stuff still available. That just about does it for today then, everyone. A quick just pile of tips and tricks to help you either be stronger or just have a more comfortable time while playing through the earlier sections of Grounded 2. This game is so much fun, and the deeper you dive into it, the more you'll discover it. It's just so rewarding. I hope you've all enjoyed this then, and hopefully it helps you out in the game as well. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.